Hello, hello, and welcome. We are back. My name is Cherie McGee. I am senior consultant with Try Now Consulting, where we assist novice teachers with classroom management, and we also assist parents who struggle in their roles with their children. Super excited to be here today. If you are here, you saw the title, and it says Tech Disconnect. It's not your fault. I am super, when I say super excited, I'm usually excited about all my guests, but I am super, super excited today because you know how the song say, I got a testimony? I got a
Hey,
testimony, right? And so
yes.
I don't have the awesome Letitia Fields on here just as a guest because she's beautiful and because she's kind, but I have personally worked with her. She has saved my whole tech life on several occasions. And so that's why I'm excited. So she's going to really be able to help you out today. Go ahead and share now. This is for the teachers today. Well, parents, if you need to learn tech too, because you know your kids are coming home with tech, so you need to be able to understand tech better. I'm sure this can help you in some way as well. But go ahead and share now. Say hey if you're in here so we know who you are and we can say hey back to you, okay? So I actually just met Letitia this year. It seems like I have known her a good part of my life, but I just met her this year and I'm super excited about what she does in her business and she's going to tell you more about that. But yeah, because let me give you a little background why she helped me so much, right? So I stepped into the classroom in 1996. That was my first year coming into the classroom in the 1900s as a teacher assistant, right? So there was no technology. That wasn't a thing, right? And so I did not have to use technology. I learned to teach without technology. We got down with it. The kids got what they needed, but it was not using technology. So I went through the years dodging technology because I felt like it was just too much. Like I'm the parent when I need the TV to work or something to, my phone, I call my children. Come do this, come do this, come do this, right? So that's how I went through life. I'm like, I don't have to learn tech. I'm amazing without it. I know they're coming up with it. And I told Letitia, I said, when the white smart boards came out for teachers, I never learned how to use it because I figured by the time I went boop, 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 and pointed at stuff and did, I could have been taught that already. So I dodged that bullet, right? But let me tell you when it caught up with me. It caught up with me not too long ago when the pandemic hit and everybody was sent home. Everybody had to go home. So I was at home. Yes, I was missing my students. Yes, I was concerned about the pandemic. But what had me sweating the most was that technology because I still needed to teach my kids. But there was nobody who could sit with me because my husband had a job. My kids were in their classes. Nobody could keep running to my rescue telling me how to use my tech. And then I had to have to show me how to integrate tech into my lessons, right? So that was a hard life lesson. But even going further with tech organization, digital organization is what it's called, right, Letitia?
Yes.
Still getting all the terms, y'all. She has helped me tremendously with that. And I want to say, too, not only has she helped me, but she's so patient, y'all. You know how you have those tech people, they know it all, and they are short patience, and they are kind of irritated because you don't get it fast enough, or you don't get it at all. They don't understand, right? But she is so patient, and I have worked with her one-on-one, and I've also worked with her in groups, a group of us who had no clue. And you know how that can be, not just one person, but a group of us adults who did not have a clue. But she's been so patient and she's been so kind. So I just want to say thank you, first of all.
Absolutely.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
So welcome.
Thank you so much from me. So you all heard all my excitement and everything, and you'll be able to see why in just a moment. So the tech disconnect is not your fault. So let's get Letitia in here. Letitia, first of all, introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. Okay, so I'm excited and I'm honored to be here. Just to be in your space, to be with you, to share with your audience, all the things. I'm so glad to be here and thanks for inviting me on. I do not take it lightly. But I am Letitia. I am the senior consultant, the tech exec of Intentional Integration, where we basically support educators, CEOs, organizations, all the people with how to leverage that technology, how to integrate it but with a user-friendly approach, from a user-friendly approach. And so I believe that with tech, you just have to move that way. And I'm also an educator at heart. I'm an educator at my core. So this is what we do, right? We know how to, move with those that we have to help and instruct. And so we use something called the flow formula, where we help, we kind of give a way to strategize, to kind of give it a focus and give it a system, so that we're not all over the place. And we'll share a little bit of that a little bit later on. But thank you so much for having me. Among all of the tech stuff, I am a wife, a daughter, a sister, an auntie. And when I'm not teching, I love to like travel. I love sandy beaches. I love organizing and designing. I am a straight nerd, y'all. Like I'm a straight nerd. I'm a God lover. I'm all of that. And I love rom-coms. I love traveling. I love that. I love romantic comedies, y'all. I love that kind of stuff. So anyway, yeah, and because you're here, we do have a little treat for you at the end. I have a little freebie for you at the end. So hang tight and we'll hook you up at the end. All right.
What an introduction. I love that. That was awesome. All right. So tell us, first of all, because you are an educator at heart, you've now since moved on from the classroom. But tell us why. Why did you become a teacher?
Funny story. Now, y'all, first of all, I had only applied to the university that I wanted to attend. You know how several people just, they apply everywhere hoping that they would get in, right? Well, I applied to the one I wanted to get in and I made it. I went with the intention to be a business lawyer. I didn't know I was an educator at my core. I didn't know that at first. So I spent about probably 2 semesters, maybe, undecided, because I had got there and was happy to be there. I'm like, yes. I'm like, living it. I was commuting, so I'm still living home and going to school. And so I'm living a dream and all this, but I'm just like, I don't want to do this. And what made me realize that I did not want to be a business lawyer was the math component. When I got in there, it was just like, oh wait, what? It was one of them things like, what is all of this here? It was, and I said, okay. And this is where you just have to be aware, be honest with yourself and know who you are. And at that point, I knew that was not the route for me. So I ended up being undecided for a couple semesters and then transitioned. I became the English major because, again, in my mind, I'm still thinking law school, so then I'm an English major with an educational background. So that is really how it started. And I had to realize, like, what am I going to do? Who am I? This girl coming out of high school, city, urban district, all that. And then I'm like, what do you do? What do you like? Like, I had to literally talk to, like, some wisdom, some seasoned people. Like, what is it? Like, well, you always work with children. I taught Sunday school, but it never dawned on me I taught Sunday school for years, but it never dawned on me, have a career in teaching, So anyway, just going to shorten this story a little bit. That is what I ventured into. And when I tell you, I started to it was just amazing. So I became an educator because I realized that's who I was. And not because it was just a job, but it was like, oh, this is me. This is who I am. And so, like, I remember being a first year teacher. My principal at the time could not believe it was my first time teaching. Now, that's when that thing is in you. Because she almost swore down that I had taught somewhere before, and I had not. I was fresh out of school, just got the scores back, like fresh out, like. So I had no experience except for Sunday school. That was it. That's all I had. But yeah, and here I am, and it's like, woo, over 20 years, and those students are, I love it. I loved every moment of that. Yeah.
Phenomenal. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, let's get into it. Tech this connect. Teach us. Teach us.
Oh, guys. So listen, you are not at fault in this case. And I'm not going to apologize. I think everything happens for a reason. And, because sometimes we want to apologize for the leaders in place because you feel like sometimes they may not know, a thing, but it's okay. It's okay because we don't all have to know everything. And so, I would love if you're listening or even in a replay, just kind of roll through your mind a little bit. What are some disconnects that you might have? Like, what are you thinking? Or like, I have a few based on experience and based on statistics, what some of them are. But what are you thinking as some of your disconnects as it relates to technology? We would love to hear from you. Go ahead and drop it in the chat. But while you're doing that, let me go on in. So one of the first things is there's these blurred lines. Now I'm just going to shoot off some things, right? And then I'm going to kind of expound on each one. We have these blurred lines, no real focus, right? I'm going to get into that just a little bit. Tech also makes the high achieving educator, it can almost make you feel a little inadequate. It can almost make you feel like you're real deficient in a whole lot of things. And you smart. Like you smart. Like you are teaching people content. And sometimes very, intricate and very specific content. But this technology has a way of making you feel like you need to start all over, go back to the drawing board. It has a way of it can be intimidating.
Yeah.
And then another disconnect is the feeling of being overwhelmed with it. Like, what do we do with it? Why do we even need it? I learned, that's a myth though. I learned like that. Can't the kids now learn like that? That's a whole nother segment. But yeah, so let's talk about the blurred lines really quick. The blurred lines. So keep in mind that the lines can get blurred because we don't have a focus. And we don't have a focus because no one has given us permission to just have a focus, to say, like, no one has really said to us, okay, focus on the student, the standards, and their styles. Focus on that. The learning is still the learning. Tech does not replace learning. Tech can never replace our high level, our high achieving, our amazing educators. It will never be able to replace any of that. You have the touch, you have the human side of it all. And so you get to just control it. Okay. And then you get to maximize it. But because the lines are so blurred and we're not sure where to center our attention to, that helps us, it adds to the frustration, the disconnect. So think about, what do you know about your students? And these are some questions to help you get focused. So just try to write down some. I'm not going to give all of them to you because we could be here for a long time, because this is my jam, y'all, and I can talk about, and just this one part I could talk about for a very long time, but we won't do that. I won't do that to you. I promise not to overwhelm you in no kind of way. So I'm just going to give you a little bit. One of the things I want us to focus on is ensuring that you keep learning, the main thing. You integrate technology, but how do you keep the learning the main thing? Make sure you understand your students. So let's focus on them. Who are the people I get to stand in front of every day? What is their culture? What language do they speak? How do they speak that language? What are they into? So I want to be able to culturally respond to my students, because then that will help me integrate my tech in a very focused manner. I think we get a whole lot of bang for our buck when we do that, instead of just stabbing in the dark. So let me move on to my next point, because I should be here. So I could be here for a second. The other one is making us feel a little inadequate, or like, deficient, because we're like, well, I know, because I'm pretty smart, especially what I do, right? Well, technology is that tool that takes you off the stage. So don't be afraid to come off the stage. Allow technology. Let me see. Did I pass my point here? Okay, no. Allow technology to be leveraged for you. I want you to leverage it instead of just leaving it. Okay? It's not in the way. Let it be the way. Let it be a way for you. All right? So the shift in a mindset for us as educators, and I know this because along with educators comes this sense of, like we're in control, like, we're handling business, right? Well, tech allows us to step back. But what it also allows us to do is to expand our capacity in other areas that we can focus on. So, small group, guided reading. When you start integrating that technology, and I would love to share more with you, when you start integrating that, you get more time for your small group. Let me tell you a little personal story. And this is really short, but uh, when I started integrating tech into my everyday with my students, I was able to come home and maybe watch a show if I decided to. I couldn't watch a show before because I would come home and straight to the home office. Like, that's what we do. I mean, almost a 24/7. But when I started leveraging the tech, I let the technology do the heavy lifting. So that meant that all I was doing at some point was plugging and playing. Plugging and playing, making sure, okay, I know this because you know the standards, Common Core, you know that. You got all that. And all you're doing is now you're plugging all the pieces in. You know your students, all your scholars, all of, even the ones, even special, even our special needs students, whatever they are. It doesn't matter. This is gen ed, special ed. It doesn't really matter. Because I believe all kids can learn. I believe every last one can learn. And I don't care what you tell me. You can put technology in front of any child, and as long as you show them routine, as long as you give them guidance, they're going to rise. They will rise to the occasion every single time. Yes, that's a whole other story. My kids were literally coming in the classroom. They knew what to do. They knew, I'm going to the charging station, get my laptop. I'm going to plug on here. I'm going in here. My kids were literally running themselves in my classroom. And a lot of it was on their laptop.
Mm-hmm.
So don't feel like, instead of you feeling like, I don't know, I might mess up. You can't break technology. You're not going to mess it up. You are not deficient. You tell it what to do. And if you don't want to tell it what to do, you don't tell it anything. So just use it to your advantage. Because all these things can make us feel, inadequate, like we don't know. But use it. Let it do the heavy lifting for you. It's not being lazy, it's being smart. So as you work smart, not hard. Now, I'm gonna tell you with technology, it does have the easy hard principle, because you might, especially if you're not very tech savvy, you have to work to get all your systems in place. But just because I lived it, I will promise you that once you get your systems in place, you like, oh, keep this in mind. You don't have to do it next year. All you have to do is tweak it, because your students might be different. So they are tweaking what you did last year. It's the same thing. It's in one central location on your computer, on your tech device. So you're not deficient. You're not lazy. And these are some of the things that no one is really telling us. Okay, or they're showing us or giving us all these tools. Let me get to my last one, because this last one is about overwhelmed. And we're going to be organized and not overwhelmed, because when you organize a thing, it eliminates overwhelm. Just because you have a system and you know where things are. I was good for bins. I was a bin queen in my classroom. And they had to be color coordinated. They had to be right, honey. They had to be together. And I was probably purchasing them every year, I think, because I ended up with stacks of bins. I don't know why. Who said? But it's great to me, and it also felt great. It felt amazing, because you know why? It was organized. I knew where everything was. Not only that, my kids knew where everything was. They knew. We're going to organize our tech the same way. So how do we do that? Do you use everything? Do you use all the seasonings in your cabinet at one time? Never, ever. Never, ever have I ever. Okay? Same way with tech. Your district is going to purchase tools because they're like, oh, this will be great. Now, it may be great for specific content, grade level, groups. It may be. But is that tool good for you and the students you are serving? So you're going to be very careful about the tech tools that you select. Core tech tools. Just select the ones that you're going to use, the ones that's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. That is really it.
That is good.
we're not going to be we're going to leverage our technology, let it do the heavy lifting for us, because we are not deficient or any, we're not none of those things. We know what we're doing. We're smart human beings. We are high achievers. um we're going to have a focus. We don't have the smudges on our glasses. We're going to get focused, and keep learning the learning, and use tech to help us. Okay. And then we're going to organize our tech, as in having just a few set of tech tools that you're using. That is it. That is all.
Love it. She dropped a lot of them. It was really, really good. One of the biggest things you said was you're not lazy, you're smart if you use tech. So, like you said, sometimes teachers, we have that thing like we have to make it happen. We have to make
Mhm.
it happen. But no, tech can help us make it happen. Like you said, that we don't have to bring the big old heavy bag. Oh, God, that's my soapbox. But you don't have to bring that big heavy bag home every single night with 12 stacks of papers and all your lesson plan books. You can actually go home, watch a good TV show, put your feet up, because you deserve it. You deserve it after that long day. But tech will help you to do that. Absolutely love it. You were saying being culturally responsive helps you to focus on what type of tech you need to use, and that you don't have to use all the tech they give you. Now,
Mm-mm.
I have been in some places where they say, no, I need you to use this. I gave you this peer deck. I need you to use that peer deck. But then there are options, like you said, you don't have to
Mhm.
use all 10 options. Just use what works for you and your group.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That
And
was super good. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. And we're so the part about being lazy, like we're so used to having it, and as educators, as being the leaders in our classrooms, and oftentimes the leaders over other colleagues too, that we have to be the ones, like we're on a stage, like we got to get it done. We got to have our hands in it. Tech helps you to do all of those same things, but in such a sophisticated and chill way. And very chill. You still handling business. You have not slacked on your job, because I really felt like I was like, oh my gosh, this is interesting. I felt like I was sitting there like almost like I was getting paid for like doing nothing, because so much work had lifted off of me. It was no more scrambling. Talk about the copy machine. Oh gosh, like who does that? Like who? I'm not going to a copy machine. Small groups, my small groups, the
Yeah.
stations. I mean, students going to the smart board, they tapping, keeping us in control, all through technology. Those bins I had, they were to store a lot of our small group items, like our reading stuff, and then the different sections I had for reading, and then our math, and a different, all of it was eliminated.
Mm.
Like at the end of the year, toss them out because we're no longer using those. They knew exactly where to go to get started for the day, where to look, and it was all on their laptop. And there was some writing. Don't get me wrong. There was some writing, because I do believe kids need to write. Don't get me wrong. There is some writing, and I like to see my students write, work out math problems. So, in some cases you do need it. But oh my gosh, for you as the educator, talk about small groups. I was able to do more small groups. I was like, oh, I'm not pressed for time. It was amazing, amazing.
I can agree. Tech is empowering. I used to be afraid
Mhm.
of it, and like you said, it was intimidating. But once I embraced it, I felt empowered, and I can
Mhm.
actually say it boosted my confidence. With tech, I'm like, oh, I'm a boss. I know how to do that. Oh, I know how to do that. It was really amazing.
Yes.
Also say it increased my level of critical thinking skills.
Mm.
I tapped into tech. Not that I didn't have it. You need that as a teacher, of course. But it's not that I didn't have it, but I definitely saw my thinking process go to the next level when I
Oh,
was empowered through tech.
yes. Speak to that. That's so good. That's so good.
So for the
Critical thinking
veteran
as an
teachers,
adult.
yeah,
So
for
good.
veteran teachers, you don't want to feel. And Letitia's gonna give you advice, but after this. But that's my little piece to the veteran teachers. Don't fear it. Go ahead and embrace it. If you need help, find you somebody patient like Letitia who will take their time and will treat you right, and that make you feel like you old and you don't know anything. Time, right? And help you understand it, because it did. It took some work for me to say, oh, connect that to that, put that with that. That makes sense with that. Now, to this day, Letitia's still helping me with digital organization. And so I will be in her webinar. I will be in her webinar for that, because She did help me through it, and it was amazing. I said, "Oh my God, I can do this," and I did it for a little bit, and I backslid, but I'm coming back.
Come
Coming
on back, sis. Come back.
So this was really, really good. That was just a tip of very, very, very good wisdom you gave. Just a tip of what you know and what you have to offer. So let's just go with our advice because, like you said, we could be on here all day. What is your advice
Hmm.
to our novice teachers, and what is your advice to our veteran teachers? That could be about anything.
Oh, okay. Um, I will say for our veteran teachers, I will say, um, this profession calls for flexibility. Tech is one of those areas in which we need to remain flexible.
Mhm.
Our students, you might say, oh well, I I didn't need tech to learn what I learned, so they shouldn't need it either. Our babies are digital natives. They came out swiping screens, okay? Like we didn't have a screen. We didn't even have internet. So, but our babies are coming out like, know how to use iPhones and stuff. It's so crazy. Y'all know what I mean. Y'all know, especially if you were like a mom, a grandma, auntie, you know exactly.
I can tell you personally, I kept my god grandbaby. I promise you, she was either 6 or 8 months old. I'm thinking you just can hold your head up, maybe hold a bottle, right? 6, 8 months old. She took my phone. I am not lying. She took my phone out of my hand and she started going like this. This is a 6 to 8 month old, 6 or 8 months old, whatever it was. She held the phone and I was like, wow. It was amazing. So I firsthand know that you are telling the truth. Go ahead.
Yes, and to come out like you just born and you know that. So for us who we had to warm up to it. So veteran teachers like Cherie and I embrace it. It's not going anywhere. Our students need it. Cherie just made an amazing point about critical thinking. If it increased her critical thinking as an adult, what do you think is happening to our babies as they're using the technology? We can't afford to not let them use it. We can't afford to toss them out. I know y'all want to toss them out. I know y'all want to take all these laptops and toss them. I know some people really do want to do that. I know. I had superintendent tell me that. I want to just toss because people use them use them differently. But
Right?
we can't. Our students need them. Critical thinking piece. So embrace it. Be flexible. And give it some time. Give it some time. I don't care if you master one thing. My new teachers, I love you guys too.
Yes,
Know those standards and know the babies that you stand in front of. Don't make tech the main thing. The technology is not the main thing. It's the content. So you do need to make sure that you are very well aware of the standards. And more importantly, make sure you understand the babies that you get to serve every day. Know them. Find those things that really connect you to them. I don't care if you don't live in the same town with them, but you need to know what happens in that town. What's the newest dance that's out? What are the slang words? What are they using? My kids would keep me up to date on some things. I'm just saying. So know those things, get into their world, understand them, find ways to connect with them. Because that is all a game changer. So yeah.
absolutely. Oh, you have blessed my soul today, Letitia. I'm not surprised though. I'm not surprised. Also, I know you all can hear the passion she has for tech. I don't think I've ever met. No, I knew one other person who had that much passion for tech, and I used to look at them like, wow, like they loved it. And so I've met Letitia, and she's the same. So Letitia, I mentioned it. You have a webinar coming up. Uh,
Yes.
tell us a little bit about that. Not well, you tell us whatever you want about it, and then
Mhm.
how can people contact you, teachers, if they want, or principals want you in their buildings, but teachers or execs, whomever, if they want you to come, you should have her come. If they want you to come and help them with tech, how can they do that?
All right. So, as Cherie mentioned, we do have our digital organization webinar coming up. It is free for free, free, free on November 3rd. It's at 5 p.m. Now, listen, why did I do it in November? That's my birthday month. So I wanted to kick it off. I wanted to give back. I wanted to give something free to the people. So I could have did it in October. That's not my birthday month. I wanted to do it in November on purpose. It's the beginning of my birthday month. And so I wanted to give something. I like to give things around my birthday time. I like to receive too, but I like to give away something. So that was great. I thought that was a great idea. November 3rd, you do have to register. We will put that information, the registration link, we'll put it in the chat. And also, you can find me at Intentional Integration on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Please join our communities just to stay up to date. I do drop some tips and some stats in there, information. Our webinar stuff is all in there. You can go to one of our socials now just to go and find it, because I probably haven't pinned to the top of the page. So you can go there and get that. We'll also go ahead and put it here in the chat. But yeah, those are our social. Also, intentionalintegration.com. That is our website. Check us out there. You can also become a part of our Facebook community right there as well. Yeah, that's about it.
All right. You all make sure you get to that webinar, share with other people. It's not just for teachers. This is digital organization. What does your laptop or computer look like? When you start looking for files, right, Letitia? And
yes.
all just imagine it being your physical desk, and you got stuff thrown everywhere in your office, and stuff is on the floor, and stuff is in the bin over there, and stuff is all over the desk and under the desk, and you sitting on papers and stuck all up on the wall. Well, that's what my laptop looks like digitally, okay? I'm almost out, but that's what Letitia can help you do. She can help you put all your papers in categories and in files and where they need to go, and she can help you do some amazing things. I'm not going to explain it all, but make sure you give that to whomever works with a laptop.
Yes, yeah, exactly. CEOs, bosses, and it doesn't matter what field you're working in. I'm actually partnering with a contractor. He does construction work, and so he needs to be organized because he has different job sites. So we're partnering together to help him get organized, so he can know what's going. Materials, he needs spreadsheets, he needs all the things, and so we're working in support of helping them get get some things in place.
I love it. Did you drop the link in the chat?
I did not. Let me go.
Please do. If you don't do it now, you can do it like once we come off, but at some point it's under this live. Please drop that link so that everyone can get in. This was amazing.
Yay! Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for allowing me to share space with you.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'll have you back. I have no doubt about that. We're going to partner on some other things because, I teach on classroom management, effective classroom management, right? And tech is a part of that. It can actually assist you to improve your classroom management. So if you want even more information about that, head on over to what you see scrolling by trynowconsulting.org at the bottom of the screen. Hook up with me. You can have a free 20-minute consultation and we can talk about it, right? We want our classrooms organized, and tech is a part of that, all right? So love being here. We're going to see you guys again soon, and y'all have an amazing day.
Bye, guys. Thanks for joining us.